Warning, this video is around 15 minutes of quite literally complaining about a PC game options menu. If this upsets you in any way, by all means, please tune out now. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I have something of a reputation. I'm not sure really where I got it from. It's apparently that I love to obsess over options menus, so I suppose that's exactly what I should do. That's what is expected of me. So let me present to you the options menu from hell. I had a few issues with this during the Blitz beta, to say the least. This is Halo Wars 2 on PC, the early launch version. The game is coming out in a few days. And the Blitz beta, which is a strange but fairly interesting mode involving RTS mixed with collectible cards, caught my attention because I like both of those things. However, being a relatively experienced RTS player, somebody that's played StarCraft on and off for 6+ years and so on and so forth, I think maybe I have certain expectations as to how a real-time strategy should control. And what I found was that basic functionality such as attack move and control groups were curiously absent from Blitz. Now, I reported this via Twitter, and it got picked up by the dev team, if I recall correctly, having been relayed through a few other people, and I was hoping that this had all been sorted out. Well, unfortunately not, and this game has probably one of the worst options menus I've ever seen, to the point where it actively gets in the way of you doing what you need to do. This is something a lot of people would be considering, I suppose, a nitpick, but really, when it is this damn impractical, I think you will understand why exactly I'm complaining as much as I am. Okay, let's get into it and explain why I'm making this video. First thing is first, let's head over to the options menu, of course. So, it's split into 5 different segments right here. A little bit over-stylized, but there's nothing necessarily wrong with this. Although, I did notice, curiously, that it's not all that responsive. It takes a little time, just a little, to actually display the information down the bottom there. It's a little sluggish for some reason. Not really 100% sure why that is, but okay, you know, that's not really a big deal, is it? No. So, we'll head on into the game options and see what's going on with there. Well, there's actually only 4 options here. A little bit strange, isn't it? But, okay. Right, let's... whatever. No big deal. We'll have a look at video. Well, this menu is a little larger, let's just put it that way. And it takes quite some time to switch between windows. Not only does it take time to switch between windows, it actually freezes everything as it loads the next page. As I look at my frame rate counter in the top left-hand corner of my screen right now, even if you just look at the background, you'll notice switching these pages freezes the whole game. Really weird, that. I don't know what exactly is causing it. A little inconvenient, a little bit annoying on a menu that has a few different tabs, but hardly crippling, right? Well, here's where it gets a little awkward, to say the least. The controls menu. So, as you're probably aware, of course, the original Halo Wars came out on Xbox 360 and has now been ported to PC with the Definitive Edition, which I'm looking forward to trying out. It's going to take a while, because despite the fact that the Windows Store says you can buy the Ultimate Edition of Halo Wars 2 and play Halo Wars 1 right now, in fact, you can't. Because, for some reason, it seems they have to manually email you a code, which can take anywhere between 7 to 10 days. I don't know either. Yes, we are in the digital world. It would seem that only Microsoft is unaware of this. Regardless, okay, alright. That's got nothing to do with menus. Here is the control menu. And this, of course, being a very, very important little option here. Especially for a real-time strategy, and the first thing I did was dive in here and say, alright, I've got to get my keys set up the way that I want them. It's a real-time strategy, it's important that I get everything. Oh my god. You know how I mentioned that the video menu was split up into 3 different tabs? Well, this is split up into like 12. Now, by the way, this menu actually works properly. I'm not sure why it is that the video menu does not, but this one, well, it doesn't freeze up anything, so that's kind of nice. But this is a mess. For some reason, it takes up a huge amount of space. I can't imagine why that would be. It also is extremely poorly organized, to the point where finding what you want to find is an exercise in frustration. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 pages of keybinds, displaying only around 8 or 9 keys per page. In fact, it literally is just 8 keys per page. The reason for that? I mean, I can't tell you. Were they designing it with the Microsoft Surface in mind? It's not entirely outside the realms of possibility. I'll ignore the fact, of course, the Surface doesn't have a bloody keyboard. But never mind. So I thought to myself, right, well, I can go in here and at least I can fix the issue that Blitz had. Creating control groups. For some reason, Blitz has its own set of control group, well, controls. The reason for that is that Blitz binds the card playing of units to the usual buttons that you would use for control groups. Why? I don't know. Couldn't tell you that. If I were Microsoft, if I were 343, if I were Creative Assembly, if I were any of the companies involved in this, or all of them were, then I would think to myself, well, you know, if there are only 4 slots, considering what PC games usually do with that kind of thing, I'd maybe use Q, W, E, and R, right? Great. I'm going to rebind them. No, I'm not. The key's already assigned. The key has already been assigned to another action. Great. Let me scroll through the 15 pages of keys to find out which action that Q is actually bound to. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Here it is! Local units. What even is that? Not a clue. Do I need it? Well, apparently the game believes so, because I can't unbind it. I hit escape, by the way, thinking, oh, maybe that'll take me out. No, escape is bound to something, too. I mean, I suppose you kind of got to give him credit for letting you... Where is escape? Can we find that? Oh my god. This is... There we go. Clear selection or cancel is escape. That's great. How do I unbind things? You're going to tell me that I can't, aren't you? You're going to tell me that rather than unbinding those keys, I'm going to have to somehow find some spare keys on my keyboard that are not used by the 15 pages of keybinds that you have right here. And that wouldn't be so bad if this was in any way organized. But it's not. This is insane. Tab it. Do something. If Blitz has its own set of hotkeys, then why doesn't it have its own separate tab and menu? It's not even grouped in the same place. We've got control groups here for Blitz and control groups here regularly. And then, of course, there are control groups that are for campaign and multiplayer. I don't know why control group 5 is not assigned to that. That's really weird. I don't know why exactly that is. I'm going to assume that in the campaign, you could only have 4 control groups. Why that would be the case, I couldn't say. This is nightmarish. Absolutely nightmarish. So, as I said, if I want to rebind this, I'm going to have to find Q, find out what it's being used for, and then find something else to bind it to. Let's try num 7. Cool. Num lock 7. Oh. Oh dear. As it turns out, that didn't unbind Q. No, because that bound an alternate key. Okay, let's try numlock 8. Oh, numlock 8 has been assigned to something. I'm very excited to find out what that is. Let's have a look. Where is numlock 8? A very logical key to bind. Bear in mind, this was a game designed for use with a controller. I don't even see numlock 8 anywhere. In fact, I actually have the feeling that it didn't register numlock 8. No, it simply registered any numlocked button. You'll notice here that it just says numlock. Couldn't tell you which. Can I rebind it to numlock 6? No, apparently numlock 6 is bound to something. No, it isn't. No, it's not. Where's Numlock 6, eh? Tell me. It's not there. Anybody with eyes can see that, eventually, after scrolling through God knows how many bloody tabs. Holy crap. Was this designed by a human? I have to ask. Or was this designed by the Covenant? The Flood? The Brutes? I don't know much about Halo. I don't know if you've noticed that. Console game. But this is farcically silly. And it is a bit mind-blowing that a game that was originally designed to use a controller has somehow managed to put this many key bindings in. You've almost got to applaud that. I mean, there are basically 100 buttons here. If it was 8 per page and 15 pages and each of the buttons didn't use modifiers, that would be 120 buttons. Of course, some of them do. So, yeah, around 100 buttons. Pretty impressive, really. How they fit that onto a controller is a mystery to me. That's almost using pretty much every key on the keyboard. At least it would be, but in fact it's using a lot of modified key presses, such as Shift and Alt and Control and all sorts of things like that. This is impossible to use properly. As I said, I don't know how to unbind a key. I don't have a clue. Backspace? No. Escape? No. In fact, I've managed to somehow bind backspace. Oh god. What about shift backspace? What does that do? Cool. So if I bind the alternate and then bind again, it will rebind the primary. So all I need to do in order to be able to use Q is to find 2 different buttons to rebind local units to. That's really easy. Kill me now. That's insane. Any sensible options menu when it comes to control key binding would of course tell you what the button you wanted to use was bound to. Or, of course, in the case of other sensible options menus, it would say, it's currently bound to this. Are you sure you want to change it and override that? And the answer, of course, would be yes. Sane options menus would not have you bind an alternate with your first rebind. It would ask, do you want to bind that as an alternate or do you want to bind that as your primary key? They would allow you to clear a binding. But this isn't sane in any way. It's a mess. An utter mess. It doesn't bode well for the actual game itself, I have to say. It is a little bit of a struggle to port the rare beast of a console real-time strategy to a PC, the home of real-time strategy, and actually get it right. Oh, by the way, there are 2 audio menus here. There's nothing there. There's nothing there! Why is this here? But this is not how you do it. I am actually dreading playing it now, honestly. I really am. I'm gonna have another look and see if I can find auto attack or attack move. Do any of these things exist? Is there an actual attack button? Probably not. After all, it was designed with controllers in mind. They wouldn't do something like that. It's difficult to precisely set your units to attack a specific target while utilizing an analog stick. I get that. But attack move, on the other hand, that's extremely logical. It's not there. I can't bloody find it anywhere. But wait, there's more. I know what you're thinking. No self-respecting developer on PC, especially with a real-time strategy game of all things, would possibly forego allowing you to bind things to mouse buttons. Oh my sweet summer good God! Nope! You can't do that either. None of them. Side buttons, middle button, left button, right button. Scroll up, scroll down. No way in hell. Astonishing, really. That's a special kind of hell. Reserved for those that talk in the theater, For Honor's tutorial system, and this bloody thing. Perhaps I'm just too used to playing PC-specific real-time strategies. Perhaps I'm just being unreasonable. But this is an absolute disaster area. And I'm extremely surprised that it has remained identical since the Blitz beta. I'm fairly sure they received this feedback. In fact, I am 100% sure that they received that feedback because I know for a fact that I gave it to them, as indeed did others. Good Lord in heaven. And we haven't even started on the in-game buy power microtransactions for the Blitz mode or the Day 1 DLC. Or, of course, the unbelievable mess that is the Windows Store. Well, here's hoping the game is better than the key binding menu. That's assuming that I ever get around to playing it. Assuming that with perhaps a master's in nuclear physics, I'll be able to decipher and properly define my chosen key set. I'm not holding out too much hope. I'll see you next time.